It's important to have clean water. It's important for our children and their children to have clean water, and it's important for the entire health of the ecosystem. And water is the most vital natural resource that we have.
The Clean Water Act protected all of our waterways in this country and did a great job of doing that for about 30 years. And then in the 2000s, two polluter-driven Supreme Court cases opened up some pretty gaping loopholes within the Clean Water Act that leave 61,000 miles of streams in Oregon alone unprotected under federal law.
It's horrifying. It's a large number. I wouldn't have expected it to be that big. Particularly here where, you rely on, runoff from the rivers and streams for drinking water.
Well, that makes me feel scared because I know just here locally I also steelhead fish on the Clackamas River, and I just know how many different forces are impinging on its water quality.
Those streams belong to all of us. And just like with public lands, public streams, we should never allow individual corporations or individual businesses to usurp our public legacy for their own personal gain.
There are, wild winter runs still on the Clackamas, as well as 2 summer runs of steelhead. So it's a very threatened habitat from a variety of forces.
The way that the Clean Water Act has been changed is without an eye towards valuing the ecosystem and separating economic value from the hidden costs of destroying an ecosystem. And when people actually do the math correctly, they'll find that the problem flips, and it's far more expensive to destroy without knowing.
One of my favorite places in the John Day is the stretch between Clarno and Cottonwood.
I think the Deschutes is awesome. I mean, it's pretty, and going through Bend, it's pretty awesome that we have it right in our backyard.
You can raft for 4 straight days down a Clean Water Act listed stream, and you get some of the most beautiful canyons, like stunning, just columnar basalt cliffs. There are bighorn sheep on the rocks.
I love to trail run, and there's a trail system just here in town called Meadow Camp, and it follows, in some places, just feet from the Deschutes River.
It's a Clean Water Act listed stream that is incredibly important to protect for population genetic reasons, but also for the recreation of the area.
Sometimes you just stand there. I mean, you're by yourself. There's no one else around. You're standing up on this bluff and just watching the river, cascade down. You're like, oh my gosh, this is like so unbelievably beautiful.
After the EPA came out with their rule this past March to close up these loopholes in the Clean Water Act, huge polluting industries, companies like Monsanto and Exon Mobil, all worked together and actually set this rule in their targets. So the American Farm Bureau is actually pretty notorious in this case for trying to block the EPA from finalizing this rule. And we know that these big companies, big corporations are going to be spending seemingly limitless money to spread lies about this rule. For example, that it will hurt small farmers.
Things like mud puddles, things like, man-made ditches do not meet any of the criteria to be a jurisdictional wetland and therefore are not subject to the Clean Water Act. Things that are subject to the Clean Water Act would be things like the Columbia River or things like Crater Lake.
I'm from here. I grew up on the Sixes River. Right now we are currently 9.5 miles up Sixes River, and this is my grandma's property. It's a 40-acre piece of property that's been in my family for years. And then my parents also have a ranch here on the Sixes River. The ranch is a working cattle ranch. We don't do any spraying or anything on the ranch. We don't spray pesticides or anything like that down there. We take our water out of the river, though, to water the fields. We have a sprinkler system. And then we also have spring water at my parents' home that we have used since I was little. And that spring runs into, of course, Sixes River, and we've always relied on that for our water.
Take the pain, warming winters, Mother Earth strains, snows feed Metolius songs, cool the cry, sockeye are nigh. Metolius, so cold and clear, such life that brings beauty.